Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm happy to have Jessica Patching Bunch as my guest today. Jessica is a stress resilience coach on a mission to provide practical approaches to understanding and managing stress. After working in neurodevelopmental research, she realized she wanted to let her knowledge of the brain and brain-body connection serve more than the small circle she could reach in academia. She has struggled with stress-related illness most of her life. This inspired her to address a real gap in accessible alternative mind care and wellness education for women, creating a new space in personal empowerment. As she likes to say, I teach practical ways to manage stress so you can get out of your own way and create your best life. Welcome, Jessica, and thank you so much for joining me today to talk about the important work that you do.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here with you.
Now, you promote the idea that autonomy in health and wellness practices build self-image and self-worth. Can you please elaborate on that?
Just the idea that what we do makes a difference in our lives and how we feel is one of the number one contributing factors to increasing or positive increases in mental health and mood. And I guess my head when I'm thinking about this goes to kind of depressive symptoms, and this is where some of these studies have been done, showing that just the ability or just the knowledge that your abilities and your autonomy is what can change your state of being and how you're feeling and how you're functioning. It is so powerful because when we're feeling hopeless and like what we do doesn't make a difference or can't make a difference, it's really hard to know where to go from there.
Well, now, many of our practices, our personal practices, make us believe that self-care is a luxury or indulgent. Now, I know you disagree with this, so can you please talk about what self-care actually is?
Yes, this one I run into so often because I think self-care, there's a lot of layers here. So self-care is kind of a new idea, I think, in the last decade or so. I don't think it was really as popular to talk about your self-care before that. And what we see a lot of the time advertised as self-care is, manis and petties and bubble baths or that kind of thing, which are all fantastic. But real self-care is doing the work that you don't necessarily want to do sometimes, exercising, watching your nutrition, giving. What I work with a lot is breath work and mindfulness habits and kind of curating a headspace that is conducive of mental well-being. And those are practices that we have to do every day or most days, even when we don't feel like it. And a lot of the time it's not necessarily fun and it's not fancy and it doesn't always maybe feel thrilling in the moment, but it's what gets you the results that you're looking for in the long run.
Well, and to me, it sounds like you're talking about balance. That's really what it's about.
Yes. And, I ran into this idea, which I really loved somewhere earlier this year. And it was the idea that we have this idea of balance where everything maybe is equal parts life, equal parts work, equal parts, being a parent or a student, or all of the pieces that put all of those pieces that fit together to make you a whole human. But you can't have 50% of all of those things because there's not enough of you to go around. And it's not about having equal parts of all of these things, but more so balancing what is really important in that moment, what needs your attention and focus in that moment to deal with whatever's in front of you and then go forward looking at whatever's coming next. And I just that I think that is a really important thing to keep in mind, because we do hear a lot also. And I think in regards to self-care also, that word balance comes up so frequently, of work-life balance and trying to find this balance. And I want people to know that it is more about focusing and balancing what is needed now rather than trying to make equal parts of everything. Because I think if we're striving for that, we're going to burn ourselves out a lot faster, because we're looking for something that doesn't necessarily exist.
Well, talking about all of the different parts, can you describe what you call nervous system hygiene practices?
Yes, I love this. So I kind of equate this to all of the other hygiene practices that we put in place that we don't necessarily maybe want to do or get, thrilled and excited about doing every day, like brushing our teeth for 2 minutes, but they are so necessary in helping us to have that piece of our health and continue to function in the way that we want to. And so the idea of nervous system hygiene practices are just things that benefit your nervous system. Again, so what I work mostly with the three pillars: brain, body, and breath. And so that being movement that benefits the nervous system, we do some kind of heart rate variability training specifically to focus on the autonomic nervous system to help strengthen and train those patterns. And then breath work again, and then again with the brain, just having a foundational understanding of kind of what is going on in your brain and how it works, just having a little bit of an understanding of what is going on in your brain when you're feeling certain ways, or when you're thinking certain things, or kind of the whys and hows there. And so just, I think one of the easiest examples and one of the first things that I work with is breath work, because it's instrumental in focusing and managing both your physiology and your psychology, mind and body. And it seems like the easiest, but that's a tricky part, because it's more difficult than we expect, just in the way that our autonomic system takes care of our breath. And so most of the time we don't even pay attention to it at all, unless, say, we're out of breath or something doesn't feel quite right. And then we kind of have that, like, oh, what's going on? Our attention goes there. But if we're intentional about the way that we're breathing, it is sending direct communication about our state of being, about what is needed in a response to our nervous system. And so having, say, a breathing practice every day, even just for a couple minutes throughout the day, a couple times a day, it doesn't have to be a long, lengthy thing. But just having these little practices, these little bite-sized practices in your daily habits will work wonders for helping you to regulate your nervous system and keep it kind of functioning in the way that you intend.
Well, now you underscore that knowing how we function as humans helps us to navigate and manage our experiences. So, how do we build a self-practice of awareness and get out of that autopilot state that so many of us are in on a daily basis?
Yes, yeah. This one I am so passionate about this, because I just truly believe you can't manage or control something that you don't understand even a little bit. And when I started learning about the brain, I just fell in love and kind of dove in. and that's not necessary. But just, I think about, if you get in a car and you don't know what the steering wheel is and you don't know what the pedals do, it's not going to be useful for you. And we are the same way, except that by the time just in our 30s, we do have these autopilot patterns that have been made up of all of our most common thoughts and behaviors and actions, the things that we do, and that's just kind of becomes the go-to if we are not really intentional about what it is we're doing. And to do that, we just have to, well, We just have to be present. It's very simple. It is not easy. And that's with most of the things I work with, they're not complicated, but that doesn't necessarily make them easy to be doing on a daily basis, which is why we have to practice and make it a habit. Um, but in order to get out of that autopilot state, you have to slow down enough to notice, to become aware of what is currently going on. What are your current thought patterns? What are your current habits? How are you moving? Are there aches and pains? Just noticing what's happening in your body and how you're, I want to say functioning in the world, but that's not really but how you're navigating around in the world. And then once we become aware of it, then we can start to see those pieces that might need some adjustment and then start adjusting. But until we're aware of it, we can't do anything because we don't know it's there.
Well, what you're saying, Jessica, makes so much sense. And I'm sure that there is a lot more than we can cover in this podcast. So if our listeners have questions or if they want to know more, how can they reach you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best way to reach me would be my website, which is www.brain-bodyresilience.com, or just email me it's jpb@brain-bodyresilience.com as well.
Okay, and I'm going to spell that for people just in case. That's JPB at brain, BRAIN dash body resilience, BODYRESILIENCE.com. Is that right?
Perfect. Thank you. Yes.
All right. Terrific. Well, thank you so much, Jessica, for your time and for giving us some wonderful tips and information today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And again, if I can leave the listeners with just one thing, it's that we have so much more ability to direct our state of being and how we're feeling than we are aware of a lot of the time. And there's a lot more we can do to manage ourselves than we know. So learning those things is incredibly helpful.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I also want to thank our listeners for spending a part of their day with us. I'm Gilda Evans, reminding you to take care of yourself and that special person in your life.